Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about the hybrids.
Yes.
I mean, it looks like you got a new line of Paradym hybrids, and you said you got 2 different models
Yeah.
here. I'd love for you to do the same thing here, and I'll be honest with you, I went out and hit a few here a minute ago,
Yep.
and these rock. I mean, these were cool. I mean,
got some pop to them.
these were really popular. In fact, out of everything I was hitting, and I love the driver and the fairways, but this was crazy. I mean, I put these things down and go, okay, this has got something here.
Yeah.
And so talk a little bit about the hybrids and the new working you got in the hybrids.
First thing I want to talk about is shaping. You know, all new shape here. So we have the fairway wood-like shape, and one of the feedback we had around the iron-like shape, which has done really well for us. We've had it for a long time, but you know that toe kind of sits like it's a little bit upright. And we were talking on the other videos about making it feel more like a fairway wood, making it feel like a little bit flatter. That's what we've done here. We've brought some of the best technologies from the fairway woods into the hybrid. So we have the tungsten speed cartridge. We've got the jailbreak in there with the Batwing. We've got the AI face, but also an all-new sole, and you can actually feel it. Yeah, and hopefully we can show that. But just the way that it cuts through the turf, it's called a cut wave sole, and it really goes through the turf extremely well. So when you get that fairway wood like shape, you were saying it looked like a utility wood to you, and then you combine that with the sole, this thing is going to be outstanding going through the turf. We got 2 models here. So I'm holding the Paradym. This is kind of your better player model. I would say, you know, single digit type of to 10 handicap or so. And it's not a heavily left bias thing. It's going to play very neutral. Like we said, we modeled it on the utility wood. Then you've got the X model. Similar shape, still fairway wood shape, bigger, going to have a little bit more draw bias, going to be a little bit easier to hit, really kind of your, you know, 10 to 20 type handicaps. We can go all the way up to a 7 hybrid on this, 30 degrees of loft plus the adjustability. So we always joke about the Ocho and stuff. You make this thing an Ocho. You can make this thing a 32 degree. It will shoot straight up in the air and be extremely easy to hit out of all different types of lies. And the reason why we went with the adjustability across the board, a lot of people will combo these with the iron sets. They'll buy them independently, but they'll also combo with
100%.
whatever they have. So we wanted to have that flexibility with the loft adjustability.
Fill the gap a little bit better.
Because gap fill is key for
because that's very interesting. And if you talk, maybe you'll talk about it for a couple seconds here, but you know, my typical set we're putting together is going to be like a 4 hybrid, 5 hybrid, 6, 7, 8, 9 wedge, or maybe throw a 6 hybrid in there. And sometimes I get the guys that walk in there and go, the gapping's perfect, it fits perfect. Then sometimes I get there and go, you know, I got a 6 hybrid and 7 iron, there's this huge gap in there. And so now you're actually going to be able to adjust that. You're able to kind of fill that gap in a little bit if you need to.
And I think one thing I would say on the fitting, and I know you guys are so good at fitting, but don't be afraid if the hybrid number is the same of what's the iron number. We get people come in all the time and they say, I can't have a 5 iron and a 5 hybrid. I said, why not? You know, why not? If it gives you the right gaps.
I love that I hear that, because it freaks people out, or the loft, you know. I sit there and say the club's longer, and they start looking at the different lofts and they don't understand that. So
here's one thing we did because of that. This hybrid doesn't even have the number of the club. It just has the loft, because it's all about the loft gapping. Now with the X model, a lot of more game improvement, so we put both the loft and the model on there, so you kind of have both. But I encourage people to go off the loft. And remember, the hybrid is longer club than the iron. It's going to go a little bit farther, and the length of the shaft is a little bit longer. So go in, get fit, figure out the right loft gapping, but don't be afraid to kind of mix and match. I mean,
you answer the questions I get every day.
I can't have a 4 iron and then a 5 hybrid. That doesn't make sense. Maybe you can. You know, figure out what works for your game.
Yeah, I love that. But I like, for just 2 seconds here, because I know that utility club you had, the UW, was very popular last year. It was
extremely popular.
So let's talk about that, how you kind of base, because this the first thing is I put this down, it looked like that. And I remember how easy it was at that utility club. So you kind of based it off of that, the shape of it.
So the goal with the utility wood, it was really a better player club, really a tour-based type of club, but it had that fairway wood-like shape, but it had hybrid length and kind of hybrid playability. And it was really for something that wasn't going to have a ton of draw bias, that was going to come in high, come in soft. We had great feedback. Started with the tour players, but then we sold a lot of these things too to regular consumers. So we said, what can we learn from that and put it into the Paradym line? And so that's where you get the shaping, but you're always going to get this kind of high, soft landing type of hybrid as well.
And the other thing is the way the front edge of this sits, because I love the way it sits down on the ground.
Fairway wood-like shape.
Fairway wood-like shape. I love that, because the way it sits down and that long leading edge on there, where it actually sits on the ground, seems like a little bit flatter to me.
It's going to be very easy to get the ball.
First thing I saw, and that was beautiful, and it was really easy to hit. I mean, I was hitting off a very tight lie there and just went straight up. I loved it. So, in the shaft often?
Yeah, so the shafts, we've got both the hazardous and the ascent. We talked about them in the other video. So the ascent is the lightweight, easy launch, but these are dedicated hybrid shafts. So these are different actually than the fairway.
Gotcha.
A little bit different in terms of the structure, but playability is going to be similar. For most players, hazardous silver is going to be great. If you need more flexibility, more launch, easier to swing, you go to the ascent.
Beautiful. Great, I love the look. I think it's going to be a knock. I think you knocked this out of the park. You knocked it out of the park looking. I think it's going to be a huge hit.
We think this is going to be the best selling fairway woods in 2023.
Yeah.
So excited to get them in your hands.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you for your time on that.
Thanks, Tim.